Man, there's nothing like these brisk fall mornings. Before we get out in our waders, we're always asking ourselves, how cold is this water going to be today? Well, as soon as we got to navigate across a section that's about, I don't know, about yay deep, we're going to physically know how cold it is, but we're also going to visually know. Just mull that note for a second, it'll come to you. I know the guys know what I'm talking about. We're going to be talking about the fall transition. You guys think about that and we'll be right back. All right, fish family, hope you guys are doing well. Welcome back to another episode. So we're into that October month already, man. Can you believe it, man? This summer has just flown by, but we're getting ready to get back into that transition period, that fall transition. These fish are going to be feeding up, but they're also going to start moving towards their wintering pockets. So sometimes that could make fishing a little hit or miss every now and then. You might go out one day and just kill it. You're seeing fish sitting everywhere and you're like, oh wow, I'm going back out tomorrow. You go back out kind of in that same section and all of a sudden you're like, where did the fish go? I'm not even seeing them. Yesterday I saw them swimming here and they were back there in that pocket and now they're just not there. Well, it's possible that it's either due to water levels or temperature or a combination of both, that those fish have actually started their fall migration. They're going to start making their way out. And generally you'll see this in the bigger fish. That's why I'm always looking for those schools of big guys moving down, because the majority of those guys will push out of the creeks for a winter. They'll go down to where it terminates either into a lake or a river, and then they'll go hole up in their wintering haunts. So we're watching for that. Transition periods, when we're talking both spring and fall, are really kind of the more difficult times of the year to fish. Now, summer and winter, those temperatures have stabilized. It's either just consistently cold in winter or it's consistently hot in summer, and generally the water levels remain about the same as well. So once those fish have gotten to their wintering holes in winter and those temperatures are just cold, they get acclimated, well, you can start catching those fish. Same thing with summer months. Those fish kind of just get in their pockets before the water levels get too low, but it's warm, but at least we know that we can target current and we can generally find them. Well, when those temperature swings start coming in, that's going to trigger those fish in spring and fall. Spring, they're going to know, hey, I need to start making my way up to those spawning grounds, and they start moving. Well, same thing in fall. When those temperatures start dipping and they feel that cool down, well, it does ignite that fall bite, but it also puts them in that mode to where they might start transitioning on down the creek. So you got two things that we're really going to focus on with the fall transition that kind of work against us. One could be water levels. So you can start having water levels get really low before the temperatures get too cool, and that in itself can actually start a kind of an early migration of some of these smallies, because once again, we have to think these smallies are using depth for protection. So if they don't have depth in these creeks, and it's just getting so shallow, as you can see here, I mean, it's a shallow creek, but therefore they've got to have that. It's going to start causing them to move out potentially early if you really kind of get into a drought. So last year and year before here in Tennessee, we had both El Nino and La Nina, so we had really, really dry summers. I mean, by the time we got to like July, it was already starting to get really low, and it just got worse as we got on up through October. This year hasn't been nearly as bad, so it's been a lot easier. But the one thing that we can utilize during those transition periods, I'm going to do the same thing that I did in spring. So what I kind of figured out this year is like, hey, I know that these fish are going to be making their springtime movement into the creeks. So I'm going to go to the mouth of creeks. Well, towards the fall, I'm going to work in reverse. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing. Instead of working up high in these creeks, I'm going to go down once again to where those sections terminate, because I want to start catching those fish as they migrate on down the stream. So by positioning myself closer to the termination point of that creek, I'm catching that procession of fish as they're migrating on out to the river for their wintering holdup. All right, so on the flip side, if you're in an area to where you're not dealing with really low water levels, then it's just really going to be the temperature that's going to be the main factor that causes those fish to start moving. So soon as we start having those nights where they're just dipping down really cold, it's staying consistently cold, those fish are going to go ahead and start migrating out. You've also got to think too that the bait fish are going to be affected by these temperatures as well, so they're going to start migrating, and those bass are going to follow that food source as well. So one thing that you can pay really close attention to, and I've seen this in a lot of streams. So as of, well, this month, it's been 45 straight months of me being in the creek. So I've been through every transition and every stable period now for 45 months. So it's really given me a lot of insight into the fish moving into the creeks during spawn, post-spawn, during that summer dog days where they just get, lethargic and it's hard to catch. Then when that bite picks up in fall, when the temperatures start dipping down some, you get that fall transition back into winter, and then the whole process starts over again. So I've been able to see that. So I've taken really good notes. For me, I already know the spring one here pretty much is going to be about mid-February. It doesn't matter. It might fluctuate maybe by a week each year, but it's really going to be about that period. So those fish are going to start using those warm-up cycles to start moving. But once again, this is where it gets tough, because you could have another cool down. Those fish might have moved in quite a bit, but then all of a sudden it shocks them, and then they pull back into a deep pocket. And then they wait for another warm-up, and then their move starts on again. Fall's kind of the same way. These fish are going to start making their way out depending on how long the creek is. You're going to have some of those smallies or bass that are going to hold up in that creek over winter, but you're going to have some that are going to go ahead and go on out. So it really depends on how long that creek is. I've seen that your longer creeks will hold more fish, whereas your shorter creeks seem to dump out, and those really are not good wintering creeks. Just because I feel like if it's a 10-mile creek and that's about it, a bass typically can swim about 5 miles in about a 24-hour period. Now, if they're just doing a consistent swim, they're using that current, they can cover 5 miles. So that's part of why you might be catching them one day in this pocket, and then you come back the next day and you're like, where'd the fish go? Well, it's possible they're already 5 miles downstream making their way on down to their wintering spots. So keep that in mind. But how are we going to use this to our benefit? Well, on this stream today, I'm going to be walking through. This is definitely a skinny stream. I've looked at the map, and I'm going to walk downstream because I've seen that there are definitely a couple large pockets. So what that tells me is, even if I'm catching these fish migrating out, I'm further down to where this creek's going to terminate into the river. So therefore, every pocket that I come to that's got current and some type of depth, there should be fish sitting in there. And the benefit is that if these fish have already started migrating out, you're going to catch several large ones together in one pocket. This would be the one time, both in spring and fall, where I can go into a pocket and catch maybe 3 or 4 16s. You're like, wow, this is pretty crazy in a skinny creek. But during the summer months or winter months, that's generally not the case. Now, winter, those fish don't want competition because the food source is sparse. So the bigger guys would generally cordon themselves off by themselves, and they don't want smaller guys around. Whereas if you find a pocket that's got smaller guys, that's generally what you typically will find in there. There's little 12, 13, 14-inch guys. They'll all be in there together. But during these periods, when these fish are moving and they're holding up in certain pockets, that's when we can benefit of finding several big guys in one pocket. So we're going to move fast through the creek. When we get that bite, we're going to slow down then and work slower, because more than likely there's going to be more fish in there. We're going to work this exactly how we worked that spring transition. We're just going to work it in reverse. So let's get down here and see what we can do. I'm curious to see about this, and let me know if transition has started in your creek, if you guys are starting to see it. So, all right, let's get back to it. All right, this spot looks really good. I've got a bend cutting back over here to the right. So this left-hand side should be eroded out. I can see that, you can just tell by the color, it's a little more depth. So these fish, this is a shallow creek, they've got to be in this spot. I mean, they don't have many options. Let's see. I guarantee you there's several in here. We've got current flowing off from this right-hand side. This looks nice. Where you at, fish? I know you have to be in this spot. This is too ideal. I wish it had a little more cover over it, but I'm trying to long cast way out there. I don't want to get near it. Come on, I know you're in here. Is the sun messing me up right now? On that far side. Yeah, no, I see something big swim. Oh no, I see smallies all in front of that drop off right there. There's like 3 sitting right there. They're in here, I just saw them. Once I got over here to where I had more light on this, they're sitting right here where this drop off is. That's exactly where I thought they'd be sitting. Right there where that current's feeding down to that little deeper section. I just had one pop, but he didn't pick it up. I've really got to slow down today. I keep messing up just because these fish have been so aggressive, and we're getting into this point now to where some of these mornings, these fish are not going to be super aggressive. If they've made it through a cold night, they'll be a little slow to bite in the mornings. Now towards the afternoons, they will get more active. But that's another thing. You got to really pay attention to where your hook sits. And I'm not doing a good job on that today at all. Right there, right there. There we go, there we go, there we go. Right. Looks like a pretty decent fish. Let me ease him in. Let me ease him in. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. I'm trying to keep this rod tip down low. Seems like every time I keep losing them, I'm losing them right here at this last moment. Come here, buddy. There we go. All right. I knew there had to be one in there. There's several. Come here, buddy. Let me get this out of your mouth real quick. Yeah, you were hooked good. You weren't coming out. I can tell they do feel a little cold this morning. He's not big, but he's the best one we've got so far today. What is he about? He's pushing about 13 and a half, 14. All right, good deal. Here, buddy. Get on down here, buddy. His belly was full. I could feel that belly. It was full of stuff. All right. Well, they are sitting in the sun, but they're kind of hugging this little drop off. Let me see here. Let me go over this way. And I've seen several out there. There's got to be 5 or 6 good fish in this little pocket right here. I know there has to be. But I'm having to work the bait slow this morning. That's another thing that you really got to pay attention to during these transition periods. You're really going to have to pay close attention to the bite. Let the bite dictate how fast you need to retrieve, or do you need to slow it down? How quick do you set the hook? How slow do you set the hook. Today, these fish, I'm having to let them take it for a second. I mean, this is not fully what you're going to run into in winter, but in winter, I'm having to give these guys 5 and 6, 7 seconds to actually start swimming off with it. Once I see my line slowly tracking in winter, then I know I can generally set the hook. I'm definitely having to give these guys 2 or 3 seconds today because they're just, it's like they're picking the bait up, but they're not instantly going to swallow it for some reason. And maybe it's just because, once again, you come out of these little cold snaps sometimes and fall until these guys really get regulated. This is not cold. I mean, you think, well, hey, in winter it's going to be way colder, but when you go from these periods where the temperature's fluctuating quite a bit in fall and spring, it shuts the fish down quite a bit more, whereas in summer and winter, those temperatures just get pretty consistent. Once it's cold, it's cold. Once it's hot, it's hot. So that water temperature is staying pretty consistent. Therefore, they're going to have consistent behaviors. Whereas in these transition periods, now we're dealing with the elements of temperature going up and down, water levels swinging, and that's what makes it a little more difficult because you're having to adjust the way you're fishing for them. Summer and winter, we can kind of almost hit cruise control. Once you figure out what they want, what they're biting, you just consistently do that same thing over and over and over, and you're generally good. These transition periods, you're having to really adjust how you're retrieving and your hook sets. All right, I'm gonna push on down around this corner. This is a good spot. At least I'll know I'm gonna fish this when I come back through for sure. All right, I've gone back to this paddle tail for Z-Man. This is kind of a little bit bigger profile than what I normally fish. I think it's a 4-inch, but the crazy thing is I'm only fishing a 1/0 hook on it, but I like how these bellies on these are slit like this. Therefore, when you put your hook up in there, it easily lets that hook tip expose real easy right there. You're not fighting through a whole body of plastic, and that, you know, this base of the hook can't push up through there. With it slotted like that, as soon as those fish bite, boop, man, look at all that hook exposure you get right there. That's a ton of hook exposure. So I can fish a really small hook on this larger profile of bait, as long as I just give them a little second to get it in their mouth. As long as I see them swimming with it, I know more likely they've got it deep enough in their mouth that I can go ahead and set that hook. And when I put pressure on it, it's going to expose that hook and get them pinned. Yep, right there. Whew. That's good, that's good. That was a good bite. Man, what is biting me? Something's stinging the fire out of my leg. Inside of my pants. Whatever you are, die. Golly, what's stinging me? Yeah. He's not that big, but he's fighting good. Whew, I'm going to pull my dang pants down because I don't know what in the world is stinging me. Ow! Here, buddy, I got to get you. Woo! Golly, what is stinging me? It's something in there. Dang, there's the mark right there. Oh, there it is, right there. There it is. How in the crap did I get a yellow jacket in my pants? Whew, no wonder. I knew it. Dang yellow jackets sting. God, they sting. Whoo! You got me twice. That's, at least it ain't a spider. But I'm telling you what, those yellow jacket stings, man, that I'll feel that 4 hours from now. That is something I don't understand. I know he didn't go up. No, I don't know. Ain't no way he got under my belt loop because I got that thing cinched down because I'm muffin topping. So You would have had to do some squeezing to get under that belt. But I just don't know how. He wouldn't have come out my pant leg. Good grief. I don't know how the crap he got in my pants. That's crazy. It sure stung the fire out of me. I was like, I know I'm feeling something stinging me. And all of a sudden it was like my leg went on fire. I'm like, oh yeah, something just got me. There. He was hugging that shade over there. Let's see. He's pretty decent. He's another 15, I would say. Come here, bud. I ain't gonna complain about this one. Oh, come here, bud. Come here, bud. Come here, come here. You're starting to throw all your food up. I don't want you doing that. Hang on. Hold on. Hold on. I saw you just spit up a whole bunch of food. What is that? You just spit up. Hang on. All right, another good guy right there. Let's get him on back in there. Get him, buddy. What did you just throw up? What is that? That is a big old chunk of something. I swear, it's a mouse. That's the third mouse I've seen. So he almost, that's the head right there. Look at it. Wow. That's the third smallie I've caught that's thrown up a mouse. And then the other, there's a little baitfish he had right there. Dang, I hate that he's digested quite a bit of that mouse. So you can see his little eyeballs right there. So he's about, he wasn't a small mouse either. He was a pretty big one, but I'll say he's had him almost digested pretty good. But that's the third smallie that I've caught that's had a mouse in its stomach. I hate for him to throw his meal up. Let's get right back over in there. Let's go back over there and there. Yeah, there we go. This looks like a pretty decent fish. This looks like a pretty decent fish. Hang on. Hang on, buddy. I'm going to come out there and meet you because I got a gravel bar right here. You're not. Oh, that's a good fish. Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. If I can get him out of this current. God, he keeps going into the current. Come here, buddy. Golly. Come on, buddy. Come on. Oh, yeah. Woo, yeah, buddy. Good one here. Another 16 at least. No, man, these guys just have some massive shoulders on them. Look at that. Golly. Yeah, he's 16 and a half. That was a good fight. Here, buddy. Where's he going? Swimming back at me. He's like, hey. Kind of stuck in here. I'm gonna get you out of here. Come here, bud. I should have put you over in that other side. There we go. I got him. Here you go, bud. Get back over there to the right side, bud. There you go. Go back in your deep pocket. He's sitting right by that tree right there. Now, he could have got across this, but sure enough, a heron could have landed right there and maybe put a big old nick on him. So, all right, I caught that guy twice. I'm saying back to back, right on my fishing pole and then right with my net. Score! So I'm going to say that's 2 extra 16s I've caught. Woo! All right, fishing family. Hey, we're going to call it, man. This has turned out to be a really good day. Hey, even though these water levels are low, I do think that these fish are actually starting to transition out of this creek. Seems like I found them in the only deep pockets where there was current. They weren't really setting anywhere else. And I saw some of them that appeared to be swimming downstream. So I think the transition is starting here already. It might be kind of brought on a little bit early due to the lower water levels. That's kind of my thought, because I mean, we are starting to dip down in the 50s. That will start it, but I think the water levels are really pushing these fish on out even quicker. So guys, I hope this information helps you with this fall transition. Till next time, grab your poles, call your buddies. Got to make some memories. Give us some elbow. Boom! All right, guys, I love you. Be safe. We'll see you on the next episode.
Simple life.